We should be live now.
Perfect. 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Nintendo Dads episode 198, recorded today, September 27th, 2018. On tonight's episode, we discuss a longer cloud save life than we originally thought. Fortnite Season 6 updates are on us, pets, updates, DJ llamas, and so much more. Plus Pokemon 8 generations coming to your phone and your Switch device, plus so much more, including your questions and my experience at EGX. Oh, it's been a good time. Folks, cue the music.
Hey guys, welcome to the Nintendo Dads podcast. My name is Marty, and you are joining us tonight for episode 198. And with me tonight are two of the internet's finest folk that we could round up and actually hogtie to be here. I'm talking about Mr. Jesse Waldack. How are you, Jesse?
Greetings. We're soon going to be not talking about 100s anymore.
I know. It's a little sad.
I never thought crazy. When we started the show 4 years ago, I didn't think we'd actually still be doing this at 200, but I'm glad we are.
Oh, you had such faith in us back then.
You've heard our beta episodes.
I have, and it's crazy to think that we're here and almost at episode 200, and I joined in the early 100s, and so speaking of the early 100s, as in his age, Mr. Justin Hassan.
Yeah, I was going to say, Jesse, like, ye of little faith. Like, wow, you didn't really think we'd get here. 4 years we've almost been doing this now, but it has been a awesome 4 years. So, yeah, no, it's great. I'm excited to be here. We've got some interesting content to cover this week. But, yeah, it's, I'll tell you right now, I got fresh off of a intense Tecmo Bowl game with Callow in part of our huge community over on Patreon, of course. And I'm participating in the PSVG tournament. And I have never played Tecmo Bowl before. And I did by a point, literally a point, down to like it was. The clock ran out, and he was making a final push too. I was sweating here. It was intense. I have never sweat that much at an 8-bit graphic game since playing The Legend of Zelda, the original. So
Tecmo Bowl is great, and I love it because it's like the NBA Jam of football. You don't really have to know much about it.
Yeah,
there's 2 buttons. There you go.
That was it. Yeah, it was fantastic though. But again, loving the Switch online service. I wasn't here a couple weeks ago when Gary went on his big rant about it. So, but nonetheless, it's just the 3 of us. I like this. It'll be a good time. Let's jump right into it, of course, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it. And that means our news is up first this week. And of course, our news is brought to us by us over at patreon.com/Nintendo Dads, where for as little as $1 a month, you can join the amazing Discord community that we have put together, as well as get access to the dads and the rest of our folks. And also, you just help us out. You change the world, and you can be like Brandon Johnson and Kevin McGrath and Daniel Ward, who joined up this week as brand new patrons of the show. And guys, we want to thank you so much, whether it's $1 or $5 or $15 or $30 or however much you support us at every month. It makes a huge difference. It helps us do what we do here at Nintendo Dads and continue to be able to review games and put out content and go to places like EGX. Justin, you were just at EGX.
I was. I want to make a quick correction. The news is not brought to you by us or by us. It's brought to us by you, which is you, the patrons. See what I did there? That is. Yeah. Yeah, no, I just came back from EGX, which was absolutely fantastic. I had done EGX last year. Gary Gray and I had met up there. I slept on his floor for like 2 days. I was over at EGX for one day. Saturday. I flew in late Friday. was there all day Saturday. So it was myself, Gary, Phil Myth from Nintendo Village, Paul Lloyd, of course, joined us there as well. We met Jack, and Jack has been a big follower of our show for a while, and he was there. And then I actually bumped into the guys from Switch Island, and that is actually Danny, who support us here as well. One of them, Daniel. There it is, Daniel. There was three of them at once. I met. They were bundled together. I was getting names mixed together, but it was fantastic. Got to play. What did we play? Played some Killer Queen Black 4-player, which was fantastic. I'm hyped for that game, as you guys know.
It still doesn't have a release date, does it?
It doesn't. It has winter. It's winter is coming. That's about it. So I suspect.
So it could be December, January, February.
If I was to bet, I think it's going to roll into 2019. I think, in my opinion.
At this point, yeah, I think so.
Got to play Castronauts. Which is Overcooked in Space. You can check out our video right now. It's actually on our YouTube channel. You can check that out. And actually, it is released on other systems actually as of today. So if you have a Xbox or PlayStation or a Mac or everything else other than a Switch, you can play it today. It's coming for Switch in the coming months or coming weeks, hopefully. And then kind of the big one, I will also say we did play Windjammers, which was coming out soon. That was actually quite good. Phil and Gary played that one. But the big one that we played that I have changed my tune on, folks, this is the hashtag Justin was wrong moment, was Wargroove. I played Wargroove again, and I am super pumped for Wargroove. I had played it over in Gamescom, was not happy with it. It did not play well, did not catch my attention.
So I was like, that's like Advance War, right?
Exactly. And so Gary and Phil went to go play it. I'm like, I'm not going to play it. I'm not interested in it. I didn't do anything for me for Gamescom. So they went and played it. We kind of separated. They came back and they're like, it is freaking amazing. And they were so hyped for it. I'm like, maybe there's something I'm doing wrong. Maybe I need to give it a second crack. So I went down to Chucklefish's booth, sat down, had a good conversation with the rep there who kind of really explained the game more to me, the controls. And we played. And I will actually say I think Wargroove is my game of the show for EGX. It changed my perspective that much. I am hyped for that game now. And that I'm not a huge Fire Emblem fan, kind of turn-based.
No, you hate Fire Emblem.
This has grabbed me hard, and I really want this game to be released very soon. They don't have an official release date, so don't ask. I asked them about that. I asked them about that. They're hoping to have something soon, but they don't have an announcement date. But it was fantastic. I really, really, really want that game out. We also got a chance to bump into our good friends who published Pode. We spent some time with her. And
Puda?
Puda, yeah. Sorry, I keep calling it Pode, but Puda.
It looks like Pode.
I know,
easy.
Right? And then we saw some other great games.
Can you sell me on that game in like 30 seconds? Because I feel like it's a game that I should play, but I just missed it.
Sure, 2-player environmental puzzle solving platformer that is
good to play with kids.
It is designed to play. So here's the thing: it's great to play with kids. It's also great to play with a spouse. So it's not too easy. It's when I say designed to play with kids, is there's infinite lives, there's no enemies, there's no that kind of thing. But me and Jody sat around and just played it, and it's just super chill and super relaxed, and requires a little bit of
overcooked levels of insanity.
No, it's not. And so I would say that it has. I think a lot of people have missed it, and I think they just assumed it was a kids game. So when I say kids, it's a good game to play with kids, but it's also a good game to play in general, and it's a good game to play with a spouse. So if you're looking for a game, I would highly recommend that one. But EGX was an absolute blast. We have content up on our YouTube channel you can check out as well. Of course, we played some more Super Mario Party, which is coming out in just a week from now. And I know I am excited for it.
I cannot wait for this game.
Yeah, it's
the more I see about it, you and I were talking about this before the show. The more we see about it, the more it looks like they have finally knocked it out of the park again on Mario Party.
I know that my family here, we will be having a Mario Party next Friday, where we will just sit at home and play Mario Party for after work, and I'm so excited for that day.
I will tell you this, that today, after trying the demo at Best Buy.
Oh, you've preloaded it.
I've already preloaded it. I'm ready to go, man. I love me some Mario Party.
That's great.
And the last Mario Party 10 was so disappointing to us as a family because it felt like we played it that very first day and we did everything that we could do.
Yeah.
In like 3 hours.
And I think the thing that, and I know this is a little bit of what we've been playing, I guess. We'll jump into the news in a couple moments for you. And people ask me, so I got a lot of questions because we put a video up. And so I've played this game 3 times. All 3 of the same demo, by the way. So at Gamescom once and twice at EGX. They have, and it sounds bad, and I don't mean to be saying it this way because obviously, but they have looked at what made Mario Party great and they tried to make them great again. They have really tried to go back and say, like, here are the things that we need to do. Here are the changes we need to make. It really looks like they took time with the development crew to stand back and say, these are the things that make this game great. We need to do these things better and more comprehensive and on the Switch using technology we have. This is absolutely fantastic. This is probably, there are a lot of games that are on my radar for October. This is probably the biggest one. Let me ask you this, Marty, because I know next week is a big week for you. Right, you've got Mega Man coming up on Tuesday, and then you've got this coming up a couple days later. Which one are you more hyped for? You have to choose one. This is like.
I mean, I'm more hyped for Mega Man, but I think it's for different reasons, right?
Sure.
I'm hyped for Mega Man because the demo has proven that this game is good.
Yeah,
it's proven that this is like they actually put effort and thought into this, right? And they're like. It's truly them saying we are going to put energy and resources behind revitalizing Mega Man. So I'm excited about that one. I'm very hyped for it. I've got the special edition on pre-order paid for already at GameStop. So all I have to do is pick it up. But for my family, I'm hyped for Mario Party. So it's like, I know that's cheating, but it's like, it's a different level of hype, right? It's a different kind of hype because like, I'm not going to be able to play Mega Man with them. But on Friday, I'm expecting to sit down and play a crap ton of Mario Party with my family, and have a blast doing it. Yeah. So I guess equal hype, and that's like big for me. I mean, for me to be as hyped about it as I am about Mega Man. But October is a huge month for me. Period, because you got Mega Man, you've got Super Mario Party, and then Luigi's Mansion. On 3DS follows that up right after.
Yeah, so I've actually got my list here. I was going to do one of those videos like top 5 games in October that you have to watch out for. And my list here is, and I'll probably still do it, maybe in that voice specifically, Mega Man 11, Super Mario Party, Mark of the Ninja Remastered, which got a release date of October 9th. I am hyped for that. Tricky Towers. By the way, I played this one at EGX. Don't slip this one by you. This is an intense 4-player Tetris game, which was a ton of fun. I think you can already preload it in the eShop right now. Check it out. I think it's like it's €12, but you should definitely, another great party fun couch game. Luigi's Mansion, and of course the one that I'm questionable about, but I know that like Gary's hyped for, and a lot of people are in the conversation, is Starlink, of course, right? That is
I have that pre-ordered too,
October 16th, right? So I mean, and that's only the first 2 weeks of October. So there's a ton of content going out there. But I mean, I digress. We can talk about Nintendo throwing games at us every single day and making us poor every single day. But we should probably jump into maybe the news and why everyone's come here. And of course, just before we jump into that, I want to say big shout out to everyone who is in our Patreon, Patreon chat, of course, but also everyone who's watching us live on YouTube. I'm seeing some names in here, of course. Guys, thanks very much for jumping in as always. And of course, Tim is in there doing some fantastic work with our group as well as kind of our manager. So we appreciate that. But let's jump right into the news, Marty. What's on the docket?
Let's jump right into this. So Splatfest was this weekend, right? Brand new Splatfest, brand new rules for Splatfest. There's pro and there's kind of the casual, games you can get into. I chose to go with the more casual, of course, Team Retro, because that's how I rock it. I'm not stylish in any way. So, I mean, I'm, just wear whatever I can find. But here's honestly something that surprised me. A couple of things that coming out. Number one was this is the first Splatfest with these new rules, but one of the few Splatfests that we've had with a complete and total wash of a victory for Team Modern. Team Modern took the Splatfest 3-0, not only winning the popular vote, but also now winning the number of games that are played. And these are scored differently now as well. So I'm trying to bring this up because I kind of want to run over the difference here for this. Now the Splatfests are scored differently. You're scored on total clout, which is based on like how much you ink and how much you win and different things like that. You actually level up faster in Splatfest now, or get more bonuses. But this was a complete 3-0. Also, along with this, people who data mined the game found voice chat icons buried in Splatoon 2's code. Now, these are different icons than are in any other game, and they indicate chat that is has a line through it, so that it's muted, and chat that is active as well, which is leading people to believe that somewhere down the line there is going to be integrated chat in Splatfest or in Splatoon, just like there is possibly even in Fortnite. So here's my question, and we can move on from this, move on from Splatoon after this. How likely is this to happen, seeing Nintendo has kind of doubled down on the online app, which we'll get to again here in just a minute? Actually, let's just say this. Nintendo confirmed this week that the Switch Online app has been downloaded on 5 million devices so far worldwide.
Which would, and again, I'm going to use some old sales figures. I think Nintendo has released recently or mentioned that if they have not, it was like they were very shy of a 20 million, right? So you're probably looking at a 25% attachment rate to the app.
Right.
So I think that. I think it's, there's a difference between downloaded and actually used, right? Let's be honest about that statement right there as well, right? It's kind of like, how many, we have shipped 25 million units. Well, shipped versus sales are two different things, right? Those numbers we're going to talk about. I'd be interested in knowing what the active user would be and what they would consider an active user. A great example today, during my call with Callow, I used Discord. Right, we were in Discord. We were setting the conversation up via Discord, and I was just like, "Oh, we'll just press here." And Callow was like, "Oh, we could use the app." I was like, "Oh, we could, but we're already currently here." And he's like, "Oh, yeah, let's just do this. That's fine." Right? It's accessibility. I think if there is a game for Nintendo to try and really experiment with the app, or sorry, not experiment with the app, but experiment with chat in line, right, through the actual platform, I think Splatoon is it.
Yeah.
Right. And I think when you look at how, they've always kind of positioned Splatoon as their squad-based shooter game, right? And I think when you see the success of something like Fortnite and Call of Duties and stuff like that, and Overwatch, you need to start to create an infrastructure that, especially if you want to try and pitch it as like an esport game, you need to kind of create that infrastructure to allow them to do that. I think if they're going to pilot it, or beta test it, right? Whatever word we want to use, Splatoon is the game you want to do that with, right? We know the fever pitch for that game is quite high. So I think if it's there, brilliant. Now, it also be one of those things that the code just happens to be in there, right? Doesn't mean they're necessarily going to activate it. Doesn't necessarily, we're reading through data mining stuff, but I think this may be part of an update coming in the future. So yeah,
right. So I want to double back to something here. Old Splatfest results were totaled in the number of players who picked that team, the number of solo victories that were won, and the number of team victories that were won. Mm-hmm. However, the new Splatfest method of doing this is the number of votes, or the number of people who chose retro or modern, then the number of normal games that are won, and the number of pro games that are won. And so, like, take, for instance, this past Splatfest, an overwhelming almost 69% of people voted for modern over retro. Retro was 31.17%. Modern was 68.83%. They won the normal games by winning 51.23%, for Team Modern and 51.79% for Pro.
Okay.
So now that we have those different categories, it's going to be interesting to see if Splatfests are more varied or they tilt more to one side or the other, especially because really when you get to the pro level, I guess if that's what you're competing at, right? Whichever one you pick is probably going to win that category. It's
absolutely.
Pro, if it's retro, the pros are going to win retro if they go there.
Yeah.
So
I have not jumped back. I have not jumped into Splatoon since the update that just happened here recently. I need to go back in there.
There's also a new weapon coming to Splatoon that was announced today that is different than any other weapon. It's called the Booyah Bomb.
Yep.
And basically what it is it's like this big. They showed this off in footage of the 4.0 update when they were launching it, or about to launch it. I believe it was in the direct that they showed this, or close to it, where it's kind of like this big, almost
like an egg
ball that's above you, and it's growing. And the more people on your team say "booyah," the more power it gets. And then all of a sudden it just explodes all over the place.
Yeah.
And actually, the more times you booyah it, and the more times your teammates booyah it, the more special they get as well.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see if they lock that to a mode. If it's like Booyah mode, where that's like the goal, or if that's just a weapon that you can find,
Splatoon is such a fantastic game. It's one of those games I always got, like, I'll come back to it every couple of months and kind of go for like a weekend run of it.
Right.
And I always come back and say, like, this is such a good game, such a good IP, such a good idea, and there's such a fevered community around it that just love it. And I mean, actually, even here I'm on the Tumblr right now, and they've got a new level coming in as well, Skipper Pavilion, which is coming into cycle in the Turf Wars coming in October as well. So they're constantly updating it, and there's so much great content. Yeah, I'm always impressed with Splatoon.
I would not, they originally said there was going to be, like 1 year of fresh content and 2 years of Splatfest support, but we're past 1 year of fresh content. So they're continuing. I think this game has kind of taken on a life of its own within Nintendo, and I think they, the longer they support it, the better.
Yeah. Now, speaking of games that have regular updates and supports as well, we'd be remiss to mention that Fortnite Season 6 has just launched as of yesterday. That includes DJ llamas, changes to the map, and of course pets and so much more. I know that my family, my daughter Rylan specifically, was super excited for this. She kept asking me every day for the last 2 weeks, how many more days until Season 6, Dad? And I was like, I'm hoping there's a trailer soon so I can show you so you can get excited. But it was the first thing she did yesterday morning. She's like, so Season 6 is out right now, right? And because of the time zones I was like, it's out today. When you get home from school, it'll be there. And then when I got home, she had already updated the device and was playing Fortnite and was loving it. So that is out right now. I'm playing it. Are you guys playing Fortnite at all?
Yeah, I bought the Battle Pass today.
Yeah.
And I'm excited about Backpack Dog.
Yeah,
that's going to be my new thing.
That's my tier I'm trying to get to right now. I'm getting pretty close, but
I think it's tier 12, right?
Yeah, I think I'm at tier 10 already. So yeah, it's fantastic update. If you guys, I would highly recommend it. I want to
mention this about it is, their stability update came out and launched on the Switch, during Season 5, and I actually thought that it made it worse. After I downloaded it. But a lot of players today are reporting upgraded, playability and stability after the Season 6 update. So it's going to be interesting to see in the long run if that's actually a fix, or maybe just my Wi-Fi was crap where I was playing. But I
would always assume your Wi-Fi is the problem.
Well, I wasn't at home. I was playing it at my office, so it should have been. It should have been fine, but I mean, it was very laggy and just jaggy, like jumping around. But prior to Season 6,
right?
But I'm excited about this. I love 50v50. That's like my favorite mode right now. And right now they've got the soaring 50s. Where you can jump off of high places and redeploy the glider. I just love how they continue to innovate this game. It's really good.
Yeah, and in this innovation as well, for those that aren't regular Fortnite updates or know much about it, they have done some significant changes to the map as well. And I think they do a fantastic. Loot Lake is gone now, Floating Island, but they do a great job of storytelling a game that's evolving every single season, and I'm always interested in what they do. So I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, of course, in connecting with Fortnite, we'd also be remiss not to mention that the big Sony crossplay controversy appears to maybe be shaking its way out, and it looks like Sony is actually doing a beta to allow individuals or people to crossplay with other platforms, and actually be able to apparently release their Epic account that was associated or merge them. So this is a big move forward for Sony, and they put a release on their blog, actually, the SEI, about the changes to their kind of online structure and Fortnite. And of course, in the last several weeks, Sony has kind of come out and said, like, hey, essentially, we're the best place to play. I think they've received a lot of negative feedback from that and had to do a little bit of a PR pivot. So it looks like they're doing a beta of this crossplay. But if you are a person who has friends who are on Sony or on PlayStation, first, get better friends, right? So, is what I would first say to you. And second, it looks like you may be able to play Fortnite with them coming up very soon. So keep an eye on that.
What this is? This is Sony's equivalent of looking at the situation and going, fine.
Yeah, probably. Like I would assume it is, right? I mean, it's a lot of they got a lot of negative publicity for it, and a lot of I think. Any publicity is good publicity, but I don't think this was necessarily good for them. I think it hurt them a little bit. I think in a generation that we're in nowadays, crossplay is such a huge statement for games. And we talked a little bit about this in the pre-show, but there are a ton of these kind of free-to-play games that are hitting all these devices. So I think, for example, of course, Fortnite, Rocket League, Brawlhalla is coming out soon. We've got Warframe coming out soon, where the platform has to be agnostic. No longer do we want to be like, oh, well, you have this device and I have this device, so we can't play together. We just want to play together. That's how we envision gaming nowadays. And I think when a company makes a decision that you can't do that, I think it's challenging, right? And I think it creates, as opposed to walled communities of consoles, we want to create bridges and create connections, and allow people to play together. I think that's really important, and I think that this is a good move from Sony. I think it's great. Whenever I play Fortnite, I think I see in the right hand corner, it only ever says like playing with the same platform people. But I mean, if I had more friends who were on those different platforms, I would definitely open up. But I don't.
Two observations I have from this. Number one, when I was young, and I'm talking 12, 13, and I had a Super Nintendo and a Sega Genesis, can you imagine at that age trying to explain crossplay to me at 12 and 13? Like, one of these days, right now it's Sega does what Nintendo don't, and everybody's fighting each other and everything. But now in the future, it's going to be about, hey, I've got a Switch and you've got an Xbox and we can play together, and everybody's happy.
Yeah, back then, due to just system architecture differences, even the same game made by the same company will be two different games. Like, look at Aladdin. Look at Aladdin. And
I'm just saying that, like, it's funny how back then, the biggest thing that I could think about was playing Mortal Kombat. Which system did I want to buy it for? Right? Which one did I want to buy Mortal Kombat 2 for? Oh, well, I'm going to buy Mortal Kombat 1 for the Genesis because it allows blood. But I'm going to buy Mortal Kombat 2 for the Super Nintendo because it's more faithful to the arcade version. And Nintendo's finally allowing blood. Right? Yeah. But now it's, well, I want Fortnite, but I can play it on whatever system I want it to. And Sony's finally jumping in. And so we're all going to be able to play together. The second observation I have is that I worry that free-to-play is the next music genre. It's the next genre of games, like rhythm games and like Toys to Life. Because there's only so many hours in a day, and there's only so much attention people can give to free-to-play games. And as the market becomes glutted with these, there's going to be those that start to fall by the wayside, right?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with you in that as well. So there are free to play games that the Switch has become more enamored with them, or they're becoming more of an option, right? And I do think Fortnite's a great example. And you can argue, well, Fortnite's not free to play. So when we're saying free to play, it is a free download, and you can play it, and then you have the ability to do additional purchases, additional battle passes, whatever you want to call it. And I think so. If we look at the Switch currently and what will be coming in the next few months, in basically a 5-month window, so from June to November of this coming year, you have had 5 or 6 free-to-play games that will be landing on your Nintendo Switch as an option for you that have an architecture or an infrastructure that is basically, sure, if you can give me a tenner every couple of weeks, that would be grand, right? So what I mean by that is, and here they are, people, if you're like, what are these games? First and foremost, Fortnite. Second is Paladins. Third is Arena of Valor that just came out this week. Fourth is Brawlhalla, which will be coming out in early November. Fifth is Warframe, which will be coming out at the end of November. Those are 5 free-to-play games that'll be hitting your devices that will be basically saying, could you buy a battle pass, or could you do this? Now, I would even argue that, correct me if I'm wrong, so maybe the chat can keep me honest, or if you guys can remember as well. Now, Rocket League was not a free-to-play game, but they're implementing a battle pass or loot system, are they not?
It seems like that's what they are doing, and You're right. It's not. It was a $20 download.
It was a $20 download, yeah, which I picked up, and I don't mind that. Like, hey, here's $20, and if you want, you can purchase this skin. Like, I don't mind that method. But I mean, now you have got games that are kind of trying to get a little bit more out of your pocket every single time, right? And with Paladins, you can pay the $30 upfront Founders Pack, and you can get all these things, or you can do the, or you can buy them individually, or you can buy the Battle Pass, right? So there's a lot of microtransactions, microtransactions that are occurring, and I kind of wonder, like, and to your point, Marty, is this the trend? Is this how we're now going to see games? Are we going to see more and more games? Is it a byproduct of the fact that they're mobile? Is it a byproduct of, like, is this a better?
I think it's like any bubble like this it is eventually going to burst, because there's, like I said, there's only so many hours, so much attention, and ultimately the big factor, the important factor to these companies, there's only so much money, right? I mean, I don't know many people who can afford to spend money on a battle pass for Fortnite, Arena of Valor, Paladins, Brawlhalla, and Rocket League, and do that, and plus buy the skins they want and do all that stuff, because it's a big money making thing. And the thing is that's what ran Guitar Hero out, was repetition, one, and a new game comes out every year. Yeah, you're going to need a new guitar, or you're going to need drums, or you're going to need this expensive thing, or we're going to do DJ Hero now. And then with Skylanders even, and Disney Infinity, you want to go to this part? Well, you're going to need this character, or you're going to need this element, or you're going to need that. And, like, people are, if they genuinely love a game, they're going to be tolerant of that to a point.
Well, yeah, and if you think of, and I think the other thing is that people are seeing the success of something like Fortnite, right? Where, I mean, Epic is Epic. I saw a statement not too long ago of how much money Epic was essentially making every single day in the microtransactions, the purchases, the skins. And I mean, the Battle Pass is 12 Canadian dollars. So I think it's probably a tenner for you guys in the US, right? You have the ability, if you play through the game, to earn enough V-Bucks that you don't require, and that's what I've done, right? So I did my first Battle Pass in June, and this will continue to let me support for a couple months, and I'm sure that probably in 6 months from now, and I don't buy any skins or anything like that, I'll have to buy another Battle Pass, right? So I'll paid maybe 20 actual out of my pocket dollars for probably a year of playing this game. Nothing wrong with that, right? But to your point, there is this kind of like, if I want to get enough V-Bucks to not have to pay in the future, I need to invest time in this. Time, much like money, is a commodity that we are budgeted on, right? So now I'm not playing Paladins, I'm not playing the Arena of Valors in that way, because I have a limited amount of time. And I think when they see how much money they're making, and the exclusivity of some of these things, and the conversation, right? I think when you especially talk about something like Fortnite is being as huge as it is, right? It's in mainstream culture. It's in every conversation, right? That, season 6 drops, the amount of stuff I saw on my social media, it's like being part of any large drop of a game, right? Oh, the latest Spider-Man came out, so here's all screenshots of the Spider-Man game. Mario Party came out, here it is. But with Fortnite, they run that every single 2 months, right? And you want to be in that conversation. You want to have the latest game. You want to be part of that.
Well, that's because it's the cream that's risen to the top, right? Like when Fortnite was not around, and Fortnite was, briefly was not around, Paladins was it, right? You and I both jumped on the Founders Pack for Paladins and got in there, and I really enjoy that game.
I do.
But I don't have, I have so much time to game, and eventually I'm going to choose, am I going to play Fortnite or am I going to play Paladins? Yeah. Well, Fortnite wins because for me, number one, and this is just like, I know it might not be that way for everyone else, but for me, that's where my students are at that I work with.
Yeah.
And so it's big for me to be able to be in that so that I can have that conversation with them. Yeah. But I also, just to be honest, I enjoy Fortnite more. Yeah. I enjoy the game type more. And so just like, in that sea of toys to life, we saw Skylanders rise to the top, right? Over Disney Infinity, and then eventually, Lego even, I think, topped that because Lego Dimensions was took it and kind of turned it on its head, and it was so quality, but it was also Lego too. Fortnite is like, it's kind of, it's bubbled up to the top, and it's the soup du jour of free to play games. Now, you asked the question earlier on in the pre-show, how does Nintendo respond to this? And, does Nintendo itself get into a free-to-play game? I want to be real honest with you that today, after Dragalia launched on iOS, that if they brought Dragalia Lost to Switch and it's free-to-play, if they brought that game to Switch, I would be extremely happy. Because I've seen lots of people, and I even made this comment online earlier today, that Dragalia Lost has no right to be as good as it is. It's a really good game, and that I did not expect it. I mean, I had to eat crow on it because when they announced it, and I said they've wasted a whole direct on this. This is stupid. It's just another money grab. Gachapon, whatever, randomized, summon, stupid, it's crap. And then I downloaded it. I was like, it's free. I'll at least try it. And 2 hours later, I came up for air.
Yeah.
And I said, and to me, that's the solution. Take some of those free-to-play games you've got already that are already mobile capable, put them on Switch. But I think that the key there is if they do that, that cuts their revenue stream, right? Yeah. And circling back, speaking of revenue streams, that article that you were looking for earlier, Fortnite is making $3 million per day on mobile devices only.
Yeah.
Just on mobile devices.
Yeah, and I see Tim here put in here some just quick Forbes reports that Fortnite brought in 126 million in February, 223 million in March, and 296 million in April, which is very similar to what we bring in for Patreon every single month, by the way.
Yeah,
so I appreciate that.
That's just why kidding. We're all. That's that. Yeah.
Just kidding, obviously. But yeah, I actually thought, and I want to move on very quickly from this, but I thought, just as a little bit of a, let me just drop this here and let your brain fry on this. What if they did the next Mario Kart as free to play, and your battle passes was your skins, right? Your kart skins, your wheels, and parts of not your DLC. Your DLC would be separate, but it'd be for your new tracks or whatever. So I know that's everyone probably now is cursing me, but let's move on. Speaking of
I hate that idea.
That's not as bad as my bad idea about how they should handle Smash. I said several months ago.
Well, they're doing that with Brawlhalla.
Yeah,
because it's essentially Smash but free to play.
Well, yeah, exactly.
So let's move on to this next little bit right here, right?
When you say next little bit, I
Depends on
can't
which
see.
little bit it is.
Well, no, I was gonna switch over here and talk about Pokemon.
Sure.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
If that's okay.
Speaking of mobile devices.
Yeah, I thought the mobile thing was a good segue into this. Pokemon Go players over the past couple weeks have been running into mysterious Pokemon.
Well, just started Saturday.
Yeah, well, it started this past Saturday. That's right. That basically looked like a silver Ditto with a golden hex nut on top of it, with a little eye in the middle of it. And when caught, originally the Pokemon would like poof and disappear and turn into Ditto. Until just a couple of days ago, when the Pokemon Company revealed that this is a brand new Pokemon who will debut in Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, called Meltan, who is, I think he's a mythical Pokemon, right?
That's what they said in the video.
Mythical Pokemon Meltan. They didn't really give any more details about it other than it's a brand new Pokemon for the Let's Go games. The argument surfacing online has been, is this the first Gen 8 Pokemon or not? Or is it just something special for Let's Go? And so I thought we would try our best to answer that question. What do you guys think?
Well, they did announce early on in the Let's Go, and when that was early announced, that was going to have a Gen 8 Pokemon in it. So
yep,
this seems like it's it. So now the question in a lot, like in my rating circles, before they announced the name was Meltan, they were calling it Wingnut, and I like that name better.
Yeah, I definitely like that name better.
So, in every generation except for one, the mythicals and legendaries are always at the bottom of the decks. In Gen 5, Victini was at the top of the decks with the regional decks of 000. And then the starters were 1 through 9. So are they going to do that here because they are officially in a game? So if it's in the game, it's got to be in a dex. So I imagine this is probably going to be the first entry in the Gen 8 decks. But we'll find out how they handle it once we get the game in November.
Yeah. So you can still catch Meltan right now in Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
If you're lucky enough to find him.
And it'll still turn into Dittos.
He'll still turn into Ditto, but it's possible that those Dittos will be... I wonder, is it possible that those Dittos will be Meltans when Let's Go shows up?
Probably not. They'll stay Ditto.
So because I wonder if
if you catch a Ditto normally, you'll see it as a Rattata, a Pidgey, a Ghastly, any other number of other forms. When you do catch it, it turns into the Ditto right away. So it never says you caught a Ghastly. Oh no, it turned into a Ditto. It is you caught a Ditto.
Right. So just more confusion and not a whole lot of answers other than, yeah, it's Meltan. You'll find out more later.
Yes.
So so Jesse, you're betting it's Gen 8.
Yeah, I think this is the first Gen 8 announcement. Because I don't think they've ever made any other Pokemon announcement that wasn't part of a generation.
Yeah, I just think it's weird that they're not like leading with the starters for Gen 8.
Well, I wouldn't have expected that either, but I wouldn't have expected them to jump right at the mythical.
Well, yeah, that too. That too. Justin, do you care about Pokemon?
Sorry, I blacked out. You were having a Pokemon conversation. What's going on?
I just wondered, like, you got real quiet. And I was like, oh yeah, Justin hates all Pokemon except Wobble Puffet.
Yeah, exactly. Where's my Wobble Puffet button? Press the button.
Wobble Buffet?
That a boy.
There it is.
No, I'm excited. Like my kids are excited for Pokemon Go or Pokemon Eevee Pikachu thing. And we play the Pokemon Go on the app. So all those things are exciting. I just like when you get into deep lore of Pokemon, other than here's my lore of Pokemon, you catch them, they end up in a ball. And there's lots of places that they live. that's like the level of lore that I feel
When
comfortable
you go on
with.
an adventure with them.
Yeah, and if someone's like it's a mythical, or a shiny, I'm like I don't know what you mean by that. And and I'm going to be really honest. I don't want to. I don't want. It's too much for me right now. But I am excited that everyone else is very happy. And it looks like a nut. Is essentially what the thing does. But it's cool.
I'm really excited about Let's Go. Like my son and I talk about it a lot. He's looking forward to playing it together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wanted to play it at Gamescom, at EGX, because it was not at Gamescom, and it was a 2.5-hour line for it. And I was not willing to stand in line for 2.5 hours to play it, but I will tell you that actually the lineup for that was longer than – there was only 2 lines that were, I think, longer. One line that might have been longer, and that was the Untitled Goose Game, playing that one. So
really?
And actually even the one for Smash Brothers was quicker than the one for Let's Go. So I said, you know what, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that at all. I'm just going to wait for it to be released, and we're going to have a brand fresh, new experience. But I understand how important Pokemon is to Nintendo and to its fans. But it's deep lore that I can't get into.
Yep. Yeah, speaking of Smash, Justin, this past week, there was a report that came out about a terminal cancer patient. His name was Chris Taylor, a huge Smash fan, and his last wish, having been told that his time was short, was to be able to play Super Smash Brothers Ultimate. And he actually just tweeted about it, and it kind of caught fire on Twitter, and then bled over into other social networks. And someone started a campaign to have Nintendo notice this. And what happened was they actually did. Mm-hmm. And about a week ago, they some Nintendo representatives, and this, I find this interesting. He said this after the fact. All right, he reports on this after the fact that he did indeed get to play Super Smash Brothers Ultimate. He got to play the demo build that was at EGX. Yep. He got to play the demo build that I guess they're shopping around to Gamescom and PAX and all those other. Mm-hmm. There's not all the characters are not unlocked, so there's several, but he wasn't allowed. Number one, he wasn't allowed to talk about it until after the experience. Number two, he was not allowed to take any pictures, and number three, he said very explicitly, "No, they did not give me a copy of the game to keep." And I'm guessing all of those were questions he probably anticipated, but he said that they arrived and would not allow him to tell anyone other than his family and a couple of close friends, because they were afraid that they didn't mail it to him, like mail him a Switch and say, play this and send it back to us. They sent it via, like, representatives had the Switch in their hands.
Yeah.
Because they were afraid that the game would somehow be intercepted.
Sure.
And leak. And so these 2 Nintendo reps show up at his house.
And rightfully so, because if they did try to mail it, it would have been. It is the biggest game Nintendo is releasing this year. Let's just put it that way. I know Pokemon's huge. Smash is bigger. End of story. It's settled. But sadly, we have to report that Chris Taylor did pass away a couple of days ago after getting to play Smash. And so our condolences go out to him, go out to his family and to his friends and others in the community that may have been affected by that. But man, Nintendo and social media and technology is just wonderful. Like, I love the fact that we, live in an age where things like this can happen. We've heard about, there's been other things like, Star Wars fans getting to see the movie before they passed, or getting to play other games or things like that. And kudos to Nintendo for going out of their way to fulfill a dying man's last wish.
Yeah, I think, we've talked about before how sometimes the internet can be a cesspool of horribleness. But there are times when the collective good is better than it should be. And I think this is a great example of it. And kudos to Nintendo, and kudos to everyone who's able to make that happen. So, let's speaking of things that Nintendo have done right recently as well. Let's talk about some big changes they made to the Nintendo Switch Online service as well. That had the internet again in rage, and yet Nintendo was able to say, "Hey, hold on a second now, hold on." One of the biggest things that came out after the online service came on board was that our cloud saves would potentially, if we had let our subscription lapse, would be deleted. And obviously, you can still have obviously your content on device, but in the cloud.
I think the terms they used was they could not guarantee how long it would last for. So they didn't come out and say they were deleted right away, but they were still wishy-washy. So that's what people were upset about, is that unknown, which is now known.
Exactly. And so it does appear now that cloud saves will be good for 6 months before they are deleted. So if for some odd reason your service has lapsed and, maybe a credit card became, your credit card expired and you didn't realize it and you need to go up that or update that information, your cloud saves will still exist for 6 months, which I think is actually, and again, chat, correct me if I'm wrong here, keep me honest. That's what we should maybe call our chat, keep me honest. But I believe with the other platforms, it's 30 days or maybe 60. Like it's not. I think like this is 6 months is very long.
I think PSN 6 months. And I think Xbox, you don't even have to be gold to use it.
Okay. I think it's about 3 months too long, just to be honest.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's definitely longer than what it should be. And again, for a service, it's $20 a month or $20 a year. Sorry, or 35 or whatever you do. It's a really good value that way.
Do you think that this was in the works from the beginning, or do you think that Nintendo saw the backlash online and went, "Oh crap, we've got to give an answer. We got to figure something out. We got to nail it down, guys, before we say anything."
I think probably what happened was, there's some, FAQs and terms and conditions that were sent out that was kind of like, we'll delete it when it's done. And it was probably something like it would cycle out every 30 days or whatever. Like there was no big actual oh, you expired, delete, because that's a lot of work, right? You'd have to have some kind of refresh system or some kind of infrastructure to do that. That I think what then happened is just a lot of noise got shook around it. And someone went, how long does it actually take? And they're like, well, it's like a month. And they're like, is it just a line of code? Yeah. Could you change that? Yeah. Okay, go do that. And then come back and we'll update this document, right? Do you know, I imagine it is that kind of and I don't mean to be, again, I'm not a computer programmer. I don't know server information. It may be harder than that actually, but it may be also as easy as that.
That's pretty much sounds like how it would have gone.
Yeah. Justin does tech code. Da, 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 da.
Yeah. My thoughts is they had a number, but wasn't 100% sure on it, so had the wishy-washy verbiage, and I think the backlash allowed them to say, okay, 6 months is the answer.
Yeah.
Which I don't think 6 months was their original target, but I'm glad they got there.
Yeah, they could make some updates.
I think I would have been happy, as Marty said, I would have been happy with 3 months.
Yeah.
For $20, yeah, sure. That, I wouldn't have been upset if they said 3 months is the answer. So I'm glad they're matching PSN.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I think overall it was great and a good change. Guys, that's kind of what shook out through the news. Let's check if there's anything in the chat here that people want us to chat about again. I heard PSN is 6 months. Thank you very much, Santiago. PSN is 6. Thank you, Tim. I appreciate that. That again, that is the Keep Us Honest chat. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right,
so let's move on and talk about some games that we should keep an eye on here.
Yeah, I think. Do we have a bumper for that yet? We should.
We don't because we don't do it every week.
We should go pew 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 pew.
Yeah, I think we have that.
There you go.
There we go. So not every week we have game announcements that come out close to the show, or things that we feel like you should focus on, but a few that came out just real recently that, and a couple we may have already mentioned. Of course, Justin has already mentioned Tricky Towers and Mark of the Ninja Remastered. Those are both coming out this month, I think, on Switch, right? Tricky Towers.
Right. That's right. Yeah,
is toward the end of the month. Mark of the Ninja
is middle. Actually, I'll get that date for you right now. Will you vamp?
Mark of the Ninja is October 9th. We know that.
So excited.
It's going to be good. Also announced this week, Yokai Watch 3, just announced, I believe, today by Nintendo, coming to the 3DS February 8th of 2019. I find it odd that they did not include this in their last Direct.
Yeah, a little bit.
They were just setting up games for 2019 with no date, and they did preview the Yokai Watch Blasters. But they didn't say anything about this, and it was obviously already in the pipe.
Yeah, and that has an update also, by the way. Blasters has an update.
Yeah, it's gonna have DLC, free
Yeah,
DLC,
exactly. Yeah,
which is pretty cool.
Yeah, so you okay to watch
the Tower date, by the way?
I do. Thank you. I appreciate that. It is November 11th, and it is actually currently available for pre-purchase with 20% off. It is $15, and that's Canadian, so it's probably about $12, I imagine, USD. But definitely check that one up. It's gonna be cool. You're gonna like it.
Also announced coming to the Switch. I'm super excited for this, and I know Jesse is as well. Phoenix Wright Trilogy is coming to the Switch. It's the first 3 games in the series before the Apollo Justice game, which was kind of ended up being Phoenix Wright 4. Anyway, all of these are coming to the Switch. Have they been remastered a little bit, Jesse?
I believe so, because they redid them in the 3DS engine, I think 2 years ago, and I believe it also had an iOS release, which has then more HD textures, or the sprites, images, whatever they want term they use for it. So I believe this will be like pretty much a port of the iOS version.
But it will be actually playable because it's on a real video game system. I'm looking forward to playing these again. I remember playing the very first Phoenix Wright and thinking this is one of the most innovative games I've ever played, because I never played a lawyer game or an attorney game, and I don't think anybody had at that point. If you've never played these games, smart writing, smart puzzles, great integration of the touchscreen, you're going to really enjoy it. That's coming out, I believe, is it early 2019?
I haven't heard.
Okay. Also, maybe while you look that up, let me mention this last one. Virtual racing is coming to the Switch on the Sega Ages platform, which means that there will be obviously some improvements and things, just like there was with Sonic the Hedgehog when it launched. I'm extremely excited about this because I love virtual racing back in the day. Justin, did you ever play virtual racing?
No, I'm not a huge racing fan, to be completely honest. So I did not.
Really?
Yeah, like the only racers I really like are like Mario Kart, and that's it. So yeah.
Wow.
I'm a bit of a stickler, a bit of a jerk is what I am, really.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Here's something that is interesting about this game, though. When this game launched for Sega Genesis back in the day, it was the most expensive video game that had ever come to home consoles.
Really?
Yes. I remember it being, I believe it was close to $100.
Wow. That is actually quite expensive.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Here it is. Actually, I want to make sure that I'm getting this right because I know somebody in the chat will bust us for it. But it was,
keep us honest, chat.
Yeah, that's fine. They'll keep us honest. That's great. It launched at $100 in the U.S.
Wow.
For the Sega Genesis, and this is like, just kind of keep your expectations here. This is 1994 money.
Wow.
$100. Because it incorporated the Sega Virtua processor on an extra chip that enabled the version to exist for the Genesis / Mega Drive.
Don't you love those kind of like, we're going to throw a buzzword in here and now it's more expensive. Like I don't know. I remember those were old marketing tricks in the 90s.
Well, back then they did have to add additional hardware into the cartridge to make it do certain things.
No, I agree it had to, but it was also big marketing, like 32x double power.
So
blah.
If you remember the Genesis at the time had an add-on called the 32X, which was a disaster for Sega. This version of virtual racing would not work for the re-released Genesis 3 from 1998, and also would not work on any Genesis equipped with the 32X. However, they did publish Virtual Racing Deluxe, which was available also in 1994 for the 32X.
Nice.
It included 2 extra cars and 2 new tracks. So you guys quit griping about Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Right.
Hey, sorry. You go ahead, Jesse.
So going back to the Phoenix Wright trilogy, all it says is early 2019 and no pricing.
Yeah. One other thing I want to do here for keep an eye out, folks. Oh, Marty, I am so excited. Marty, I am so excited for next week. Not only is Mega Man coming out, not only is Mario Party coming out, but our good friends over at Team 17 have teased Overcooked 2 DLC coming out on October 3rd. And I am so excited for this.
It adds the 4th star challenge, right?
I don't know. I don't know for sure. It's just a teaser. They just have it's on a beach and that's it. So I don't know if it's like a new level. I don't know if it's a paid DLC. I don't know, but I am excited. Me and my wife have already finished Overcooked 2 and I am so excited.
Is it easier than Overcooked 1?
Yes, I found that at least in specific levels for sure.
Like we were able to Overcooked 1. I have to. I haven't even opened it yet. Yeah. But Overcooked 1 gives my wife anxiety.
Yeah, I think probably playing with you gives people anxiety, I would assume.
Probably does. I'm pretty intense.
Yeah.
Speaking of playing, shall we talk about what we've been playing?
Well,
yes.
Before we do, I want to add one more to the games to keep an eye on. Hamster announced that Arcade Archives Donkey Kong Jr. will be coming soon.
I'm not buying any more of those Hamster games.
Yeah, that sigh was because it's Hamster announcing that again, and I want to punch someone in the face for doing that.
Yeah, I just want it on Netflix. Let's get it going.
Yeah.
Well, no, we don't want the NES version. We want the arcade version. Okay.
I'll take the NES version at this point.
Oh.
I get it for free. Well, $20 a year.
Okay, here we go.
All right, let's talk a little bit about what we've been playing. Justin, you played a lot of games at EGX, and you've already talked about several of those, but why don't you tell us about this game that you've got in the dock here?
Yeah, sorry. I just threw a couple things in there. I did talk about a lot of this. Castronauts, speaking of Overcooked, is coming out. I think I mentioned it already.
Isn't it called Catastronauts?
Sorry, it's Marty. It's 5 a.m. here. Give me a break. All right, back up. All right. But yes, you are right. It is whatever you just said it is. But you are correct. It is Overcooked in space. I absolutely love it. You need to check it out. It's on all the other platforms right now. It's coming out on Switch in the next couple months.
Can you describe what you're doing? Because I don't think you're probably not cooking, right?
No, you are imagine Star Trek with the Overcooked model. So you are a team of basically Star Trek people who have a ship. There are tasks within that ship, and an enemy cruiser has shown up, and they are attacking you, and you have shields. So someone has to arm the torpedoes, and they have to, by charging this little energy block, they have to move over the torpedoes to fire the torpedoes. But of course, you're getting shot at. And so when you're getting shot at, there may be fires that are occurring in your spaceship. So you need to you need to put the fires out because that'll kill you. Or obviously there's a hull breach. So you may need to go fix that hull breach or else people are going to die. And then sometimes you'll be stuck in an area where you need to actually transport things between different rooms using the transporter and move things around. There are other situations where all of a sudden bombs are transported onto your ship and you need to get them off the ship. So you're kind of scrambling around to find the transporter and dropping the bombs outside the ship. There's another option where there is a solar flare that is about to go off. And if anyone is outside of this room during the solar flare, they die. So you need I made some hard decisions. You guys probably saw this in the video. Our team, there's 4 of us. A solar flare was about to go off. 3 of us made it into the room. One of the guys was running down the hallway towards us. The solar flare was going to go off. You have to close the door. I closed the door on him. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one, and he died. Solar flare burnt him up.
I don't want to be on a ship in space with you.
But the 3 of us were okay. Tough. I'm going to say this. Tough decisions are made, and I'm the man who makes them. You know what I'm saying? But they have a Geordie LaForge knockoff character. They have like, their jumpers are like, there's a red one, there's a yellow one, there's a blue one. So very Star Trek influenced. It is available now on all other platforms. Just came out today. You guys, I think it's like a $12 or 12. Yeah, you need to pick it up. It's fantastic.
I would look for that to be available on Switch probably really soon.
Yeah, he did say very soon. They're hoping the next couple of weeks or months for it to be out. So I would definitely make sure you check that one out. So do that. Also check out Velocity 2, which is out on the eShop, came out last week. If you like shoot 'em up space games with a side-scrolling platform element built into it with some really cool anime graphics, you need to check this one out. We got a review copy for it, and I knew nothing about the game, and I played it during my flight from. I had my layover from Dublin to Birmingham. The flight got delayed by an hour and a bit, and I just kept playing this, and I played this game for about 3 hours straight, and absolutely loved it. It is currently on the eShop. That is Velocity 2. Again, very cool concept. It's very cheap too. I think it's like €12 or $12. Make sure you check that out. I have also been playing The Gardens Between, which I think I've talked about before, as a emotional puzzle-solving game. This was one of my highlights from Gamescom. You need to check this game out. I have a Let's Play up on our channel as well. And then The Spectrum Retreat, which is, again, a puzzle-solving walking simulator game. So these are all fantastic things that you need to be...
Can I ask a question, clarifying question here?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Did you say that the Gardens Between made you cry?
It just about did a couple of times. And the reasoning for that is, I think, and I said in the video, was what it is it is two young kids who you're going through their memories, and obviously there was a girl who moved into the neighborhood, and they're experiencing things, and they're outside playing in the sun, and there's a pool party, and they're playing inside video games, and each island is part of their memories, and you're experiencing their memories. And I don't know if I was just in an emotional state or what was going on, but like, I think obviously with my life, the last couple of 18 months, having moved here, right, having my daughters made new friends, making new memories, they're playing out in the yard doing cartwheels, it really landed with me as a father of like, these are moments and memories now that are there. Do you know what I mean? I think we've all experienced moving somewhere else and meeting new friends, and it just felt very grounded and very real. And I think just as a father and just as a person who experienced it, it just touched me a lot. In a lot of the way the content was there. So there was a couple times that I was kind of getting a little choke. I had just had something in my eye. I'm sure just a little bit of dirt or something in my eye. That was all.
Yeah, you just need to blink.
Yeah, just need to blink a couple times. But yeah, those are the games that I have been playing. Yeah. So again, I don't want to like take a bunch of other time, but we have content up on our YouTube channel as well, folks, that you can check out there of some of these Let's Plays of these games if you're kind of questioning whether you want to play them or pick them up. So I would definitely do that.
Awesome. Jesse, what about you? What have you been playing?
So I talked about Blossom Tales a little bit last week. I did finish that up. So last week I was just in the final boss's dungeon. I just had to clean that up. I didn't like a lot of the puzzles at the end. I don't know if you've all played it. No.
Sorry, what now?
I have. I'm only about halfway through it.
Okay. Well, yeah. I think the puzzles that I like the least are the singing stones. It's kind of looks like a Simon-like game, where if it actually was more like Simon, where each round escalated on itself, it would have been better. But every time you start with like hitting three notes in a row, and then it goes to 4 notes, and they're completely different every time, and then 5. Sometimes it stops at 6. Sometimes it goes all the way to 8. And since there's no pattern to it from one level to the next, when I get to the point I couldn't memorize them, so I literally had to write down, okay, 1, 3, 5, 1, 2, which one. I had to write down which stones were singing so I could strike them in the right order. So it got to be not very fun. And then I rented Spider-Man from Redbox and played a little bit of that. Not the Game of the Year material that everyone else says it is. There's a lot of things I don't like about it. The combat's kind of not that fun for me. and I just unlocked like the Harry Osborn missions where it's literally just busy work. Like one of them was collect samples from the air pollution in the air. I'm like, that doesn't sound very fun, and it wasn't.
No, but some of them later on get to be really cool.
Yeah, I didn't get very far into those. So that's like the last story mission I've unlocked. So I'm still in Act 1. And then I had to return it, and I'm trying to rent it again from the local video store where I can rent it for longer for cheaper than a Redbox.
I finished the main I guess campaign a couple of weekends ago. It is a good ride by the end of it, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, I think once I get more into the story and just burn through the story, I'll like it more. But anyway, so a little side story about when the patrons know it and people who follow me on Twitter know it, but I thought I wanted to share it here. When I rented it from the Redbox, it says I got a pop up that says you can rent another game for a night for free. I'm like, sure, give me God of War. So I get the sleeve and I look at it, and that's not a disc inside the sleeve. It's a photocopy of the disc. So someone returned the game so they wouldn't have to pay for it, but kept the game.
Yeah,
that was quite sleazy. Thank you very much.
No, we do not endorse that. In fact, we condemn it. Awful. Don't do that. Don't be that guy who does that.
Was unfun. And then, of course, because I opened it and moved the paper around, it was not lined up right. So the machine rejected it when I tried to return it. I'm like, why couldn't you have rejected it for the last guy?
Right, yeah.
So everything got straightened out, so I didn't have to pay for it. In fact, I think I think they credited me for the Spider-Man rental too. So.
Oh, well, that was nice.
Yeah, I was nice. I told them I didn't want any compensation because it was a free game anyway. I just didn't want to make sure I got in trouble for. I didn't want to pay for it. That wasn't my fault.
Right.
Okay. Then the last thing I played more Dr. Mario from the NES Online collection. I played it with the Hori D-pad that I talked about before.
Mm-hmm.
So, before I complained that it drained the battery, and we kind of knew, we've heard this. So that wasn't a surprise. I heard a story saying before Hori put out the North American versions, they would have a fix. So I read that as it's a hardware fix. My unit's probably going to be shot and useless, but the new ones that come out in North America will be fine. Not the case. The Switch 6.0 firmware fixed the problem.
Oh, great.
So yeah, as a test, I had fully charged my Switch, took it out for about 24 hours, and it was down to about 87%. Well, I don't know how that compares to having normal Joy-Cons in for 24 hours uncharged, but it sure is better than being dead in 3 hours.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you're not the only person I've seen that has reported that has been fixed.
Yeah, someone else.
So that's very good to hear.
Someone else reported it kind of rumory. It was kind of an iffy article. So they asked me, "Hey, can you double check this?" And I checked it out, and yeah, it's good. Things are good.
That's really good news, considering the fact that Hori is about to drop 2 official versions of this in America with Zelda and Mario branding. I think. They're not exclusive. I think they're exclusive to America, but October 2nd. These are coming out the same day that Mega Man comes out.
So one thing I miss about them versus a regular Joy-Con is it doesn't do the snap sound when you put it in.
Oh, look at you, show off.
But it works, and I was able to beat level 20 in Dr. Mario. It took me a long time and a lot of fails. And I put out a few videos of weird things that happened. And when I beat the level 20, I made an error early on in the far right column. And I literally had to eat away at that right column from the bottom up in order to clear it. And then one of the things I did in level 19, I made a lot of errors my left side, and I snuck a piece in, which created about a chain of 5, which just completely tore apart the board. Don't let me finish it. I'm like, that was the best accidental combo I've ever made.
Nice.
I didn't plan any of that. It was just created based on near misses of what I wanted to do, and it failed. So those are on my Twitter if you want to look at those videos.
Awesome. Well, guys, I've been playing a lot this week, but only just in touches. And so I'm just going to kind of hit on a few of these very, very quickly. Of course, I already talked about this earlier in the show. Dragalia Lost is available right now for iOS devices in certain regions, and also Android devices as well. I believe North America and Oceania have this.
I would make a clarity on that. Canada does not.
Canada does not. So
Canada does not.
The United States. And maybe just a select few. Of course, it's out in Japan as well. Most of the people I've run into playing it are have Japanese names.
I heard it's already like number 2 on the Japanese App Store.
Yeah, well, it deserves it because it's really stinking good. I was a huge naysayer of this when it came out. Did not really blip on my radar at all, and man, I was wrong. I downloaded it this morning and lost a couple hours to it. It's a lot like I would say like almost World of Warcraft light, but it definitely has the gachapon, like summons, random summons, got to catch them all element. But the story is really good, and music is dang catchy. Jesse, it is full of J-pop. You need to download this game. If you like Tokyo Mirage Sessions,
I might give it a try.
You need to download this game. Also, I have been playing Marble It Up, which has been provided for us as a review copy. I believe it is. I'm trying to get the publisher's name here because I do want to give them credit for this game. I love this game, and mainly because I have been looking for something for a long time that would scratch the Super Monkey Ball itch that I have not been able to fill in a while because Sega's not made a new Super Monkey Ball for home consoles in a while. And Marble It Up LLC has done just that with this game. It looks gorgeous original on the Switch. It's a lot of fun. It's almost like Marble Madness and Monkey Ball got merged together.
It looks like Marble Madness on steroids.
And there's all kinds of anti-grav stuff going on, and it's just really fun. It's really cool package of unlockables as well on there, and that's available right now on the eShop. I think for about $15. It also has competitive modes and all kinds of other things that you can play. It's a great family game. It makes great use of HD Rumble. There's like 40 different maps. This is a win. Marble It Up is the name of it. And so I've really been enjoying that. The other game that I've been playing along with Justin, I finally got my hands on Super Mario Party at a demo kiosk at Best Buy today. Man, I love this game. I am so jazzed about Super Mario Party after playing it today. I know that you have had some really neat thoughts on this. Anything you want to say about Super Mario Party?
Other than the fact I'm super excited to play it next week. I think it's a return to form for Super Mario. I think that this is family couch co-op gaming at its best. There is some things we did see. I saw some kind of trailers or maybe leaked information that there's going to be a voice chat option available in it, so there could be some more online. A lot of the functionality that I have seen with like the Toad's Rec Room and two-player kind of versus areas associated with it kind of makes me wish I had more friends that had a Switch that lived near me so we could play some of these things. But I'm just really excited to play it, and I think this is really Mario Party making a return to form. And I really get the feeling that the developers knew the essence of the game, of what made Mario Party so successful and so great, and have returned back to that. And again, I can only tell you from the 5 games, the mini games that I've played, just the interface, the controls, all of it really feel like they took time, stepped back, and said, "Here's how we have to make it great." So,
I was very impressed with what I played today, and I played games that use motion controls. I played games that use the actual, the Joy-Con as a control pad. This is very promising, and I went ahead and pre-purchased it, and I'm super excited about it. Also, been playing. I finally finished the campaign or story mode of Mario Tennis Aces, and also decided to play some of the co-op mode.
Yeah, what'd you think of that?
And I very rarely get upset with Nintendo, like mad at Nintendo. But I have to say that whoever decided that the co-op mode could be online only or 4-player only, local on your device, was smoking some good crack. Because it's one of the stupidest decisions that I've seen Nintendo make in a long time. Hey, let's add a really cool mode to a game, but let's lock it behind the online paywall. I was so frustrated when I found that out, because I had been looking forward to playing it. And I was like, so what you're telling me is I can only play it if all 4 members of my family decide to get together and play Mario Tennis, which is never going to happen. Because I can't play it at home.
Yeah, I think you can. I did it's on our YouTube channel as well, but I did a video of me playing it, and I had to wait for 3 people to join me virtually or online. I had to wait and finally got into it. And you can only play with single Joy-Con.
Yep.
So there
has to be swing mode.
Yeah. So there's definitely some kind of just gaps to it for sure.
I guess the part about it that bothered me the most was that they're locking costumes and content behind this wall of this, and I mean, people argue and probably say, well, it's just a visor for Boo, but it still sucks.
Yeah, it does. So you and I should try and connect on that and see if we can play a game.
Yeah, I would love to do it. I mean, it's just a matter of time, matter of timing. Also, just a couple other games I want to mention very quickly because I haven't played them all that much, but they're on my radar. I downloaded Towerfall today, which is from Matt Makes Games. This is the guy who created Celeste, and he has released his first game on the Switch now, which is a 6-player arena shooter that uses bow and arrow. And this game is really cool. Same art style as Celeste, obviously, but I love the competitive nature of it. I haven't got to play it with anyone yet. I've been doing the trials and learning all the different arrows and different items and ways to play the game. It does include Celeste the characters from Celeste. It includes Madeline and Badeline that you can play as. But it's for the most part, it's mainly a multiplayer game. Meant to be local co-op, right? Or actually, play against each other. You can battle each other, but so far it's so easy to control. I mean, there's 3 buttons. The joystick moves you. B jumps, Y shoots, and the shoulder ZR. It does a dodge or dash. That will let you, get into accessible when you do wall jumps and stuff like that. So there's a lot, but the interesting thing is the limited ammo aspect. You start with 3 arrows, and when they hit somebody, you have to go collect them, or if you miss them, you have to go collect them, or you're just out of ammo. So this is out right now. I don't believe it has any online mode. It's all couch co-op. So look for that. Okay. It is $10 in the eShop, I believe. And also the last game I've been playing is called Debris Infinite. Debris Infinity. I'm sorry. And basically, the only thing I can say about this is it's Geometry Wars for the Switch. Geometry Wars and Asteroids.
Okay, that's interesting. All right.
It looks very pretty. I've only played it once, though. I downloaded it the other day, and I was like, oh, I'm going to play this. And I booted it up, and I played it for about 15 minutes, and then I had to go do something, and I just haven't gotten back to it yet. But so far, I mean, it's what you would expect from Geometry Wars. Tight controls, very neon stuff flying everywhere, high difficulty. So if I remember having Geometry Wars on Xbox 360 when it launched, and I fell in love with the game then, and so I've been looking for something like that on Switch. I hope that we would get that original Geometry Wars, but
I thought Geometry Wars was out on the Switch right now.
Is it?
I think it is. I think it was released just this week, actually. Hold on, give me a second. Geometry Wars. Switch gonna give it to you. Switch gonna give it to you. Switch gonna give it to you.
No. This is it. It's
really
Debris Infinity.
Really? I thought I read something. I thought it was in our Discord chat. Someone blew up about it. Okay, well, I can be wrong. Hashtag I'm wrong. Cool. All right, so those are an awesome list of games. So tons people can be playing. Should we jump into what the community spotlight?
Yeah, let's do that.
Jesse. All right, we are in the community spotlight. Thank you, Jesse. By the way, I know you're busy downloading Dragalia Lost, so I appreciate that you were able to pull yourself away and press the button. We've got of course, for our community spotlight, we just reach out to our community members and say, what do you want to talk about? And we do this in every way, whether you're Patreon or you follow us on something, just send this question, be like, let's talk about this. I got 5 questions here, but I do want to throw in one that was sent late yesterday, and I don't want us to miss it. It wasn't part of the original thread. But Mikey Burgett asks, do you think we will ever see DLC for Super Mario Odyssey, or will we just be getting new costumes? And is that enough to go back to play the game after beating the game? So what Mikey is referring to there was a new costume update for Mario Odyssey today, where he kind of looks like, I think it's like a music composer. It's a great question here, Mikey. Do we ever think there's going to be DLC for Mario Odyssey? I have mixed feelings about this. I think if Nintendo was going to do it, they would have had to announce it. They wouldn't have had to. They could announce it any time, but E3 probably would have been the time to do that, I think, to extend its life cycle a little bit longer. We are coming up to almost a year. At the end of October will have been a year for Mario Odyssey. Nintendo continues to drip feed DLC into certain games. I think Kirby is an example. I talked about this strategy they've been using recently as well. In Mario Odyssey, they keep just doing it from a costume perspective. And I don't really know if, for me, when I see a new skin in Mario Tennis, or hey, here's a new character, I'll go in and unlock. Skins, I'm not as likely to really care to go back for. So I don't this is not enough for me to go back in and reboot up the game, because it fundamentally doesn't change anything. It's nothing brand new other than just a skin, right? It doesn't change the gameplay. It's not a new mission. My answer there, Mikey, is that I hope they do the DLC. I hope they have here's a $20 pack and here's a couple new worlds. I hope they do that, but I don't know. So I don't know. What do you guys think, Marty?
I think if we were getting DLC for this game by now, we would have already seen it announced by now, right? It would be more than costumes. I think that it would be awesome to have DLC for Super Mario Odyssey, especially Al Delfino, which seemed to at one point be in the game. If you look off to the side, on the map. But the longer or the farther we get away from Odyssey's launch date, which, by the way, was October 27th of last year.
Yep.
The closer we get to the 1-year anniversary of that, the farther away from release date we get, the less likely DLC is going to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, my initial thoughts were the same as yours. If they didn't do it by now, they probably won't. But then I reminded myself of Animal Crossing for 3DS that had DLC 3 years later.
That's
Fair
true.
So it's the never say never, but it's highly unlikely, I think, at this point.
Prove us wrong, Nintendo. Prove us wrong. Next question comes from Philip Brannon, who says, with Castlevania Requiem coming to the PS4, do you think we have any hopes of anything similar? Ooh, so Castlevania came to PS4. Did it not come to Vita as well with this?
These are the Vita versions of the games.
Oh, is it? Okay,
collected together. So
okay.
It's Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and Rondo of Blood. Their PSP versions or PS Vita versions collected together in one compilation for the PS4. It is again exclusive to the PS4. I think Konami has been playing ball with Nintendo a little bit lately, especially with Simon Belmont being in Smash.
Mm-hmm.
And I think now would be a perfect time for the Castlevania Legacy Collection.
Yep.
I'm hoping that that's what we see. I would say that we might see that to coincide with the release of Smash.
Yeah.
We did talk a little bit about that last week, that is a possibility. Since this specific compilation is not coming to Xbox One, I'm not expecting it to come out on Switch, but doesn't mean that we're not going to get something else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think if we got the first 4 Castlevania games for Nintendo systems and Symphony of the Night, I think that would be interesting. That would be cool.
Yeah.
Throw in a Game Boy in there just to muddy the waters a little bit.
They can leave all that N64 Castlevania garbage out of that, by the way.
Yeah. So yeah, I think to the point that Philip,
but also understand that Konami are jerks.
Exactly. Next question comes from Sean Ashton, who says, we all have our backlog of shame, and coming into the winter, it'll only get worse. Which games do you regret not being able to give the full time they deserve?
Oh, let me just open up my Switch.
Yes. Hold on a second.
Yeah, I have a document of like 20 games that, which I finally did get through the Blossom Tales that was on it. I still want to get through Octopath.
Can I tell you the one that is my biggest regret is Dragon Quest Builders.
That's another one on my list that I wish I had time to get into that.
I really, really enjoy that game.
I liked the demo, but I didn't. The fact that I had to start over in the real game kind of put me off.
Yeah, I think the one that actually stands out for me right now is actually Blossom's Tale. I got really far into it. I was having a good time, and then I got distracted by something else shiny, and then haven't come back to it. And I do some management of my games recently, my data, and so I looked at like what games I have on here that I'm like, oh, I need to go back and play that. And so games that I was like, no, I'm done with that. I feel like I got enough out of it. I archive them. And then the other ones I said, I'm not going to archive that. So I go back and play it. And then when I play it and finish it, I'll archive it. Blossom's Tale is not archived. So I need to go back and spend some more time with that one for sure.
I just checked my activity log and it says 10 hours or more. So it, less than 15 hours to beat the game. So it's not that big.
No, it's not. I'm working my way through Iconoclast too right now. I'm working my way through a lot of things right now.
You owe it to yourself to finish Iconoclast.
I know. I'm like halfway through, and I keep wanting to talk to you about it, but I got to finish it first. Marty, what's yours? Or did you say it? Maybe I missed it.
It was Dragon Quest Builders.
Oh, there he is.
That's my biggest regret.
I apologize. Going over to Peter, Shell Shock Prime, he asks, what are some N64 games you would like to see on the N64 Classics? Would we get some rare games or even licensed stuff like GoldenEye or WWF, No Mercy, PS, Mega Man 64 from Marty? I think, Shell Shock Prime, we've talked about this one before. I think that the N64 falls into such a difficult situation from a licensing perspective. What would I want to see on there? The classics, just off my head, you have to think, obviously, Super Mario, both Zeldas. Once I get past that, I think then I'm thinking third party. I think you want Banjo-Kazooie, you want, to your point, WWF, you want GoldenEye, you want Perfect Dark, Star Fox would be in there, right? So there's probably getting close to 8 to 10 there. The licensing is going to be the difficult part. Now, Rare is currently with Microsoft. Nintendo and Microsoft are known to play well together. So some of that could occur. But I also wonder, like with an N64 Classic, and I was thinking about this when they talked about the PlayStation Mini or Micro, whatever it is recently, some of those like early three-dimensional polygon renderings of games when back in the 90s we were like, this is mind-blowing graphics. I don't know if that stands up so well 20 to 25 years past.
Oh, I know it doesn't.
That's
right?
my biggest worry about the 64-bit era of returning to that.
Yeah, so I like definitely I know what games I really liked and really loved, but I mean I don't know if it's like, I know that everyone's thinking they're going to pull the trigger on that one, but I just don't know if it stands up as well. And the licensing thing is, when you think of those classics, those really good games, they're tied up in licensing, hell, so to say. So It would be interesting to see what happens there. Yeah, I don't know. What guys? Which ones do you think?
I would love, and this is a total pipe dream because again, it's a Rare game, but I would love if the N64 Mini came with Blast Core.
Oh yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one.
That is one that is a true gem on the N64. Had never seen a game like that, right? And was very unique, very cool. I would love to see that one. Of course, Star Fox 64. And one that I've not seen mentioned at all on anybody's list is one of the cruising games, that came out around that time, like Cruising USA or Cruising Exotica or whichever one came out around that time. That was in 64. Those were a lot of fun. I can't really think. And I mean, I'm like you, Mario, Zelda. There would need to be Pokemon Snap on there. Probably, at least one of the Pokemon stadiums. I can't think of anything past that.
Yeah, the problem with Pokemon Stadium is so much of that relies on the cartridge add-on pack you can attach. And because playing the game with just the stock Pokemon kind of sucked. Half the fun was to play with your own party that you've already raised. Up to a level 100 versus just stuck at level 50. So, and then plus it had pretty much had. I think it was like the emulator ROM built into the cartridge that just read your save file as opposed to actually playing it from your cart. But you're able to play the red, blue, yellow games from the stadium. So I think that'll cause too many issues. But I like the idea. And again, earlier this year, I asked people to vote on what games they'd want to see in such a system, which I haven't announced the results yet because I was waiting for the official announcement so we can compare notes. But looking through this list, there's a lot of Rare in it, a lot of games that would have licensing problems, as we mentioned. So it'll be interesting to see how this does ultimately compare.
I see a reference here in our chat of Snowboard Kids. I'd remind you of Snowboarding 1080 would also be a fantastic game.
Oh, yeah. 1080 would be awesome.
Yeah. All right. Final question goes to Nick, and Nick asks, as Sony officially gets out of the handheld market and Nintendo seems to own this slice of the gaming market by itself, who is Nintendo's biggest competitor now, and who might that be in the future?
Apple. It's not going to be Sony. It's not going to be Microsoft. It's mobile gaming. It's Apple and Google.
Yep. I would say that my initial response is themselves is their biggest competitor, because I think if they're by themselves, I think they're in the most dangerous spot. And what I mean by that is, I've said before that the best Nintendo is the Nintendo that's a bit scrappy. That's in third place fighting for ground, which I think is what happened when we got the Switch. So I think that actually not having a competitor in that space, as they would see as a competitor, I think is challenging for them.
And kind of in comparison, when you are on the top, you get a little cocky and ego.
Mm-hmm.
So the Iwata from 8 to 10 years ago at a game developers conference talking about mobile gaming basically said no way in hell. So yeah, that changed.
Yeah, he says that, and then like literally today, Jesse's downloading Dragalia Lost during this episode. Yep. So yeah, I think you're probably right. The mobile market is going to be the spot. So
yeah, I think you're spot on there, Justin.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it'll be like the Sony or the Microsoft. They're starting to work better, and Sony's just needs to get some slapped around a little bit. And I think like the next generation we'll see more of this just blending together.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you think about it, they've already lost ground to the iPad, iPhone generation, right? Yeah. And so to me, that's where it is logically. Yeah. That's going to be their biggest competition. I know they're putting games on mobile, but when kids are wanting iPad and iPhone more than they're wanting a 3DS or a Switch, and that's where they're at, then Nintendo, that's where you look. That's your big competitor.
Yeah.
Well, guys, that is episode 198. We want to thank everybody who wrote in for questions and submitted their topics as well. Thank you guys for interacting with the show. Again, we want to thank everybody who was hanging out in the YouTube chat as we recorded this. And so let's close out the show this way. We want to say huge thanks to our Patreon producers, David White, Dave Ernsberger, and Timothy Off. And again, we want to remind you that if you would like to be like them, even with $1 a month donation, you can head over to patreon.com/Nintendo Dads to support us. Another way that you can support us is, guys, in 2 episodes, it's going to be episode 200. And we know so many of you who write in and you tell us about how much you enjoy the show, about the interaction that you've had or the community we've built and how that's helped you. If you would love to write in or call in and say some special words about Nintendo Dads for episode 200, we would love to share those with you on our big 200. You can do that by following us on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram at Nintendo Dads. You can leave it there. You can also email that to us at nintendodads@gmail.com. We'll also take your questions and anything else, suggestions there as well. You can comment on our YouTube videos at youtube.com/Nintendo Dads, or you can call in and leave a voicemail that we'll play right here on the show at 929-25-NDADS or 929-256-3237. If you want to buy some sweet Nintendo Dads merch, you can go over to tiny.cc/Nintendo Dads store. In fact, we've got a new t-shirt coming out soon, guys. We're voting on that right now over on our Facebook page. You can go over there and be part of that democratic process if you want to, and then see the shirt that you vote for right there on that store. Big thanks to OC Remix for the music throughout the show, and thanks to Adam Leonard and Carter Johnson for all the cool work that they've done with our artwork. Guys, for me, for Justin, for Jesse, for Zach, and for Gary, who can't be here tonight, this has been episode 198 of the Nintendo Dads. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Nintendo Dads.
Wobble Puffet? Wobble Buffet? Nice.